Each and every podcast of the Optimize U studio is sponsored by Optimize U Evansville. At Optimize U Evansville, we help you take control of your health, performance, and vitality through cutting-edge hormone optimization, peptide therapy, athletic recovery, weight loss, and sexual health solutions. Whether you're an athlete looking to maximize recovery, someone striving for sustainable weight loss, or just looking to feel like your best self again, we used advanced diagnostics and personalized treatment plans to get you there. Our science-backed approach helped optimize energy levels, mental clarity, muscle recovery, and overall well-being. Because feeling great isn't optional, it's essential. You ready to elevate your potential? Let's get started today at Optimize U Evansville, where normal is not optimal. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Better Human Podcast on the Optimize U Evansville network. Today's guest is Jessica Blandford. She is the co-owner, along with myself, of Optimize U Evansville. Jessica has been a nurse for over 10 years with over 5 years experience as being a nurse practitioner and provider. Her personal journey is what led her to Optimize U, and she's here today to talk about her experience as her own patient with many issues that are affecting females, and also to talk about her experience taking care of the female clientele at Optimize U Evansville. On a personal level, she is the yin to my yang. She's a wonderful human with lots of good experience and education to share with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Blandford. We're good. All right. Jessica.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Welcome to our first daytime podcast.
I know.
It takes a lot of
exciting.
lighting changes and setups and things like that. So, Jessica Blandford.
Yes.
Yes, with a D.
Yes.
People get that wrong all the time.
All the time.
I think I did for the first 3 months I knew you.
That's okay. Everyone.
You're used to it?
It's totally fine.
You're used to it.
No worries at all.
So, your first time here?
Yes.
Although we see each other on a daily basis. Yes.
We do at the clinic. Yes.
We've been mentally preparing her for
a little
for
nervous.
doing her first podcast. It's a little warmer today. Look, we're going to get the mic a little bit closer to you. A little bit closer to you.
Yeah.
So we talk every day. Don't be nervous.
I know. I just get anxious when people are recording me. It's fine. I will get through it.
All right. We're just going to act like we're in clinic right now. So okay. Jessica is the world's greatest partner in Optimize U Evansville. She is the grinder at the office, does all the daily things there. And while I get to do, she allows me to do fun stuff. That's why we get along.
Yeah.
So you get to
keeping it going.
You get to do all this. That's right. You keep it going so we can do things like this.
Yes.
So, basically we start off with these just kind of who's Jessica Blandford? Where do you come from? What inspires you? Where did you, what's your background?
That's a long story, depending on how much you want to know. I am from the area, locally, between like Evansville, Henderson, my whole life. So, currently in Henderson, been there majority of the time, married, have a little one. But yeah, background for like nursing. Yeah. I've been a nurse since, 2014 now.
It just keeps, it doesn't get any better.
Adding.
Right, yeah. It doesn't get any better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a nurse practitioner for the last 4 years, going on 5. And what drove me, I was in ICU, did telemetry all through nursing, and then started out in pain management. Absolutely hated it. Hated my life very much. And then found Optimize U, which thank goodness, where all my passion is. I've had that passion my whole life, dealing with different issues that I battled with. So I think that's what drove me to where I'm at now, to help people. It was a struggle, I've always been like thinner frame. And So everyone kind of blew me off when I had health issues.
Mm-hmm.
They did the whole normal, everything's normal.
I'll tell you, it's kind of hard to believe. Because you're kind of the picture of health. So if you came to me and you were telling me all these issues that you have struggled with and kind of what inspired you to come to, Optimize and all this searching that you did to get your own kind of, your own systems back in check, I'll be like, oh, come on, really? What could be wrong with you? Look at you, so that it's kind of boggling to somebody that, that you're not the typical prototypical, sick person. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I get. Yeah. But it's like when someone's going to you and telling you that they have all these issues and things aren't normal, and then you're just ignoring them.
Right.
Or in my case, they just kept throwing different like birth controls on me, and like I'd be like, okay, well, it stopped working. And they'd be like, well, let's just try another one. Like never offered to even do any type of testing on me. I remember it wasn't until I started travel nursing and I got out of our area, which is, what you have to do until we came along. And which I think is fantastic. Like this area truly needs what we have and what we're offering at Optimize U. But yeah, it wasn't until I got out of here, I met some naturopaths, some different physicians that thought of in a different way. And like they did further testing, to help me out, but it still didn't like help everything. They still kind of, it is a battle too, because you're doing everything out of pocket.
Right.
And, so financially, like being able to do that, and, there's a variety of different costs whenever it comes to that. But yeah, it wasn't until I found that and I learned more, like battling with like PCOS, that was like the root cause of everything. And they just ignored me the whole time.
Yeah. So if you don't mind to kind of elaborate on what your symptoms of PCOS were, and PCOS being polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Yeah. So at my worst, I had hair falling out, which you wouldn't think because I do have a lot of hair.
You do have a lot of hair. She was very concerned about the look of her hair with the headphones earlier. So,
no, I had I remember I would cry in the shower. I would just have clumps of hair coming out. I had the lovely unwanted facial hairs that you don't want as a female. I did not have a period. I remember in high school, all the girls around me were like, yeah, I started. And I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
I was almost a senior in high school and I'd never had a period.
Oh my gosh.
What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And you go and they're like, oh, well, we'll just put you on birth control. And it did, it would make me go, but it wasn't curing any symptom.
Right.
And then it would stop working.
Yeah.
Or I felt like a crazy person. And they just kept ignoring. And I was like, is this going to hinder my chances of having a family in the future? And they were like, you're too young. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay.
That's comforting.
It is, right? Yeah. But no, I had that. I remember I would say I was inflamed, never that I was overweight. I never had that, but I was definitely inflamed. I had that lower belly no matter what I did. I mean, back then I was running marathons and I was vegan.
Right. Yeah,
gosh, worst mistake of my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you travel around and go to a bunch of naturopaths, the vegan lifestyle is eventually going to hit you at some point.
It definitely did.
You're going to drink that Kool-Aid at some point.
Yeah. And that made all my symptoms even worse.
Okay. Well,
makes sense, right?
Right. Yeah.
Insulin resistance, PCOS.
Pro-inflammatory effect of sugars and carbs and those kinds of things. Sure.
Yeah. So it was I was eating super healthy and doing all the things, but I felt horrible. I woke up every night at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, no reason why, just full of anxiety and just couldn't go back to sleep. But yeah, that was at my worst, my very worst. And then,
and how old were you? What age was that?
At my worst?
Yeah.
Probably 19, 20.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then it just continued all through my 20s. It probably wasn't until, whenever I was 29, 30 that I started figuring it out. Being in nursing, you don't learn any of that.
No. Yeah.
So it was all me doing my own research and like finding out different ways on how to like deal with my symptoms and kind of resolve it. And then becoming a provider and like figuring out like different things that, thank goodness I'm a provider and can do things for myself.
Right.
But yeah, it was a lot. I had infertility issues because of that. We did fertility treatments. Thank goodness I didn't have to go like as far as like IVF, but
Right.
I did have to take oral like fertility medications to even like get pregnant. Had gestational diabetes.
Yeah, I mean,
The whole gamut.
Yeah, and I know you guys can see it, but if you see her in person, it's like, come on, you don't have, you're not. We were kind of, we were trying to talk about when we first opened up Optimize. I'm like, we should go celebrate. We should go have a drink. She's like, I don't drink. I'm like, what do you mean you don't? Come on, you can have one drink. She's like, no, my blood sugar will go up. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
My blood sugar will skyrocket and it takes forever for it to come back. I was like, tell me more. Like, what is going on? So then it's fascinating because again, you're just not the picture of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I still battle with blood sugar issues. I mean, I have been like since we've been in Optimize U and like we have all the resources.
Right.
Definitely. I mean, it's a great. I would say I'm even healthier now that we've been open and like functioning and like having the ability to do all the things that we do. Yeah. But no, I still have to watch my blood sugars. I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat like high sugary, like high, like excessive carb meals. Like, it's what makes me feel better. Like I used to eat and feel so tired and be like, why do I feel so bad?
Right.
Not a fun time.
No, it doesn't. So, whenever you and I get connected, and I always tell that, I think I've said this a couple of times on podcasts, like, we live, maybe 3 or 4 miles away from each other? I mean, for years now at this point, and they've crossed paths, but, you're just crossing in the hospital kind of thing, but whenever you and I got together, or met, for Optimize through, our other partners, it was pretty serendipitous, I think, because I'm a big believer in, when we're going into an endeavor, a lot of times you go into endeavor with like friends, and probably that's not the best idea a lot of times, I've learned that the hard way before. But, I think, the synergy between us, she is definitely, whatever the yin and the yang is, we're the opposite of each other. She's definitely my filter on things and, always bounce ideas off of each other and kind of where we need to go with the business. And there's no real history of angst or built in, whatever, something happened over the weekend because we were hanging out and, and that carries over into Monday, which we don't have. So I think it's a beautiful thing, but the access that we have at Optimize, through different treatments, different modalities. Do you care to share like what it is that you're doing now to kind of help take care of that?
Yeah. So, I think it's so vital that I have access to like doing labs because I remember I was in my, one of my physician's office and I asked for hormone labs and they just flat out refused. And I was like, why? I don't care. I'm willing to pay whatever. And I remember crying in that appointment until they finally were probably just like, screw it, give this girl what she wants because she's not going to leave. She's just crying and making a scene. And it was like, they finally gave me the diagnosis of PCOS. So I love that. That's number one. You do not have to ask us for a lab. I am willing to do it all.
Sure.
Whatever. Why not?
Yeah. Right.
That's what frustrates me so much. Whatever, insurance will pay for it. But if you're willing to pay for it, then just freaking order it. There's no sense in that. So having the access to lab work, being able to optimize. So, I went through a lot. I transitioned, I changed a lot before we came to Optimize U. I was so anal about my blood sugars, monitoring my blood sugars. I'm still, if I eat a certain meal and I don't feel up to it, I'll still check my blood sugar to know how foods affect me. And that was a lot during pregnancy because I controlled it all with diet and exercise. I was not going to get one of those people that was going to be on medications.
Sure, yeah.
I remember they tried to send me to a nutritionist and I was like, I'm going to do this on myself.
Right. Yeah.
But so I did that. But yeah, having that and seeing that I needed to, is complete opposite in PCOS. Now I optimize my testosterone because I had such good insulin control. Well, now my testosterone's low.
Right.
Win-win, right? So optimizing testosterone, and then I do progesterone therapy also. Women with PCOS, you're deficient in progesterone. So I do optimize that prior to my menstrual cycle so that I'm not a psychopath and that you actually want to be around me and not angry at everyone. But knowing that with our labs, like, and again, you would never do that. Like, no one would ever do that.
Right. Yeah. The access to the medications, the way that we approach health at Optimize is, and I think that it's a testimony. The beauty of us is that we have this kind of personal testimony with these things. It's not like we're not just somebody there for the money grab or something. I mean, we're both incredibly passionate because we both have this personal history with it. So it's a beautiful thing. I look more the part of it than you do. So, but anyway, I know that everybody has their story. But so whenever you see people in the clinic, so the way that our clinic works, you see men and women.
Yes.
But I don't see women. That it's just not. There's just it's not something that people want to talk to me about. So what are the typical female that comes in to sees you, what is that patient like?
I mean, I do get a lot of the peri and menopause women, which they're frustrated too, because they get told like, oh, you're not in that phase yet. Or like, they feel crazy. Like legit, they feel crazy. Like I get so many women that cry every consult, which is, it's so sad too, because I'm like, well, who do you go to? Like, what kind of approaches have you went? What have they done? And they're like, well, they say everything's normal. Yeah. Again, if you look at female labs, it is so huge of a range. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, the women that has like hot flashes, that's what everyone thinks of, like hot flashes. But not only like the women that are super anxious, they don't sleep. They're like at the verge of getting a divorce because like they're not themselves. Like they're so angry all the time. They have weight gain. That's like the standard, like you're thinking like perimenopause, and then you get like, I do get younger ones because we do 18 and over. So I do have some of the younger females that are kind of going through the same journey that I did, that they're like, well, they put me on birth control and that's it. I'm like, well, did they ever test any levels? No. Okay. Well,
it's just this standard cookie cutter recipe, complain of this, here's this, see you later.
Yeah. And which that is still the standard treatment for PCOS is birth control and metformin, which I think you need to do like further lifestyle changes. And that's what I really like about it is, don't get me wrong, we're all about like, we will treat you with medication. Like we're going to do the hormone optimization part, but we're also counseling everybody on, well, what are you doing nutrition wise? What are you doing exercise wise? Because that makes a huge impact on everything.
Difference. Yeah. And a lot of times can be, I won't say self-corrected, but I mean, it can definitely facilitate, symptom relief and a lot of those things. If you just,
you have to move.
Yeah. And when you factor in the lifestyle, and that's sometimes a difficult conversation for people, and people, they don't want to, I won't say they don't want to hear it. They know it, but it's just another thing where they think that, oh, this is something that I'm doing wrong or whatever. And that's not the case at all. It's just that a lot of times it's just like lack of knowledge, they just don't know what to do. They've listened to, if they're in my age group, they've listened to the standard recommendations where, grains and flours and all these kinds of things were always fine. And, the red meats are horrible for you and all these kinds of things. So if they've grown up like that and they don't live in the ether that we do, then they don't know any better. And a lot of times it's a deprogramming. That's a word that I've kind of adapted. Just, you have to deprogram these people. It's almost like they're like people are coming out of a cult. Like they've heard these things for so long and they've believed it for so long that, well, what do you guys know? Look at you again. It's like, look at you. Yeah. You're the picture of health. Look at me. You're whatever you are. It's knuckle dragging meathead. And it's like, well, yeah, but this is what I came from.
Yeah. And what I do every day. Like, it's not like I just sit there and don't do what I'm telling people to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we live and breathe it, and we're, so, and that's again, it's another one of those things that just makes it the right place to go if you're not getting the answers that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So standard treatments, we there's medications, there's lifestyle changes, there's this. What are some of the other, I don't know, things that people complain, women that complain to you, is it, they can't sleep, they're going crazy, the sex drive is gone.
Low libido, vaginal dryness, pain with intercourse. It's everything. Gosh, women, we got it rough. Libido is huge for females. I don't know how many like husband and wife duos I have, and it's an issue.
It is an issue. Yeah.
It is a huge issue that is so underaddressed, and females in general, like men, it's pretty, they're easier patients for sure.
We're one step away from Neanderthals. It's okay.
Yeah. Typically, we get the male feeling better like by like week 3, week 4.
Right,
they're like a whole new person.
We're very easy to satisfy.
Yes. And then my poor females, I always tell them, please do not compare yourself to your husband because he will start feeling better before you do. But gosh, we have 3 hormones we have to balance.
Right.
You guys have the one hormone we like. Optimize that hormone. You guys are like living your best life. Females, we have the 3. And then it's not always just like set in stone, like that's your troubled hormone. We have the standard, like every female should do cardio until they lose all the weight.
Right. Yeah.
It's cardio. Right. I have to be as skinny as I can be. I have to undereat.
Right.
That is my biggest thing is that none of the females are eating. They're gaining weight. They're like, well, how come I'm only eating 1 time a day?
How come I'm not losing weight?
How come I'm like terribly overweight? Yeah. And it is so sad.
Yeah.
It is. I'm like, you have to eat.
Yeah. Again, it's the deprogramming part,
Yes.
it's the every, fasting, and all this other stuff, and which has its place. I get it, but it's, my gosh,
it's not the cure. You will lose weight when you first start for sure, because you're going into a calorie deficit.
Certainly.
Long term, you're going to start gaining it, and they all do. And it's just like, how do you get? And I do. I'm like, you may start gaining weight before you start losing it because you're like resetting everything.
Yeah.
I will say, like, female wise, the rude awakening sometimes is our in-body scan.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't realize, like, they're like, well, I run marathons and I do this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's everyone hates the term skinny fat. And I do think there's a better way to put it for sure. Right. That's a little...
But it's pretty descriptive.
It is.
It's very descriptive.
Yeah. And I would say, I went through a skinny fat stage until I remember a trainer told me, he was like, you're skinny fat. And I was like, shut up. I was so pissed. I was so pissed off. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what kind of man tells me I'm skinny fat right now? But it was a rude awakening. Yeah.
And by skinny fat, just to clarify, skinny fat means that your body weight is low, but your percent body fat is disproportionately high, meaning that you have no skeletal. There's no skeletal muscle mass making up the difference. So, which is incredibly important. And in our area, the visceral fat level and percent body fat, skeletal muscle mass are basically vital signs, right? That's to us.
It should be.
It should be, right? Yeah.
It should be with everybody. When you're going in to any provider's office and they're looking at, you cannot assess just a basic weight.
Right.
Like that's not helpful at all anymore. I was definitely more fat than muscle for sure. But I think it's like you said, deprogramming like females to get into that where I'm like, okay, well, we do need to start strength training. And, you can, not that you need to work out specifically like a male, because we have seen that like studies are horrible on females and like what we need to do. Right. But we do need to be doing like strength training, like those compound lifts. Certainly. You can do it. It's just now men can definitely fast before a workout and you're good. You're golden.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's the best for females.
Right.
I feel like we're already so stressed out as it is. And then we just drink coffee and then we go into a workout. Right. Like And then they're not seeing any
You try to
results.
artificially elevate the heart rate before you go in there because probably, again, I don't want to offend, but probably the intensity that you're going at is probably not going to give you that cardiovascular effect of an elevated heart rate. So we artificially do it with stimulants and caffeine, the 200 milligram caffeine drink and all these other kinds of things that get our heart pumping, get us sweating. But is that really doing the same thing? So if you ask any trainer, right? Yeah. If you ask any trainer, if I take, it is drinking the 200 milligram caffeinated energy drink and my heart rate gets up to 150, is that the same thing as me doing, stair climber for 30 minutes? I'm like, no, it's not, not the same thing at all, because there's a lot of blood pumping that has to, feeding muscle and those kinds of things that come along with it as well. But I think that I think you're nailing it when you say that it's just a difference, and there's a lot of, I won't mention places or names, but there's a lot of places that really kind of cater to female clientele as far as workouts. A lot of group workouts, a lot of this, a lot of that is strictly cardio based.
Yes.
There may be a little bit of strength training to it. I mean, there may be a little bit of
but
light
not an
weights.
Intensity.
There's
you can focus on it.
Right. You're not focusing on building muscle. You're focusing on rapidly going through these motions that will burn fat, quote unquote, but also burns muscle as well. It definitely doesn't build it. Okay. It's definitely not going to build it up.
And I think that's what they don't realize is that it is burning your muscle at the same time. Right. So it's easier for them to burn their muscle away than, and again, it's leading to the issues that we have. And that's what, again, if you have more muscle, ovarian function can be better, except in menopause. Like, hello, women, you're going to go through it. You're going to go through that change.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
Sure.
We know this is going to happen. But younger females, that's a lot of my priority is teaching them lifestyle changes to better assist themselves, because you don't always need medication in that way. And I think that that's another thing you need to know about our clinic is that we're not always just you have to be on hormones. You have to be on hormones. You can use a variety of different things, like the peptides that we offer, or just lifestyle changes. We have some great tools that, I think it's just getting the word out and people understanding it, that it does take time. Nothing is quick. If you want to make true changes, you have to give it time. It's not going to be an instant fix whenever you come to us. And I think that that's what people need to realize. We're trying to make your whole life better.
Right. Yeah. So in the time part of it, and it's funny that you bring that up, because I was going through some pictures last night. I've got this competition coming up 3 weeks from yesterday. So my first bodybuilding competition, and I was in Dakota, and I hung out for a long time yesterday, and he snapped a pretty badass picture of me. I'm not going to brag about it or whatever. Yeah, I don't want to.
You want to see it on? Want it on the screen?
No, not yet.
Okay,
no. Maybe. No, we'll talk about it later. But,
okay.
But anyway, it's this kind of picture, and when he sent it to me last night, I was like, it was almost like this moment, like I can't believe that's me.
An absolute beast.
I cannot believe that's me. So I was going back and looking through some old pictures. I wonder how long this is. When was this? Because as I mentioned before, this started after I just completely gave up all the endurance sports. So it's almost been 3 years. So it'll be 3 years in June when I made this decision. So, and it is 3 years of hyper-focused access to everything that we have, hiring a trainer, hiring a nutritionist, even, I've mentioned it before, that I have to have somebody tell me what to eat, because I will bullshit myself into, oh, this is okay. Oh, this is okay. I can have one piece of this. It's fine.
Yeah.
Even my biggest vice was protein bars, and I'm like, I'm eating a protein bar. Well, it's got 40 grams of protein in it, but it's basically a candy bar with 40 grams of protein.
Yeah, exactly.
So, wasn't making much progress with that. But so all the access in the world to everything that I want, labs, medications, those kinds of things, peptides, nutritionist, trainer, complete self, diving into it twice a day for 3 years.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
It does.
It takes a long, long time.
Yeah.
And just to be to the point where it's like, all right, I think I'm ready to, show this off or whatever. So, people do not recognize that it takes that kind of dedication. But when you see everything you didn't use any Photoshop on that picture last night, did you? Attaboy. So
Not a single bit. Promise.
When you see the influencer and I have a person that's very near and dear to my heart that that has spent a fortune on every program ad on Instagram that you can think of, trying to do the things, and none of it works because and I don't know if none of it really works. I mean, if you followed it through, it probably would, but the expectation of that 12 weeks to shred, and it's like, oh, no, that's not going to, it's not going to happen. Yeah. And it's definitely not sustainable where you can keep doing that, so it takes a long, long time. And the feeling of, like you said, men are a whole lot easier. Mm-hmm. Females really have no patience.
No.
When it comes to this. Yeah. And, and we deal with that on a weekly basis where people are saying, hey, I'm not feeling any better. Well, it's
think of how long it took you to get that bad.
Yeah.
Is it going to be overnight that you feel better? And for one, as women, we cycle, we're never consistent with our hormones. Right. Never. Right. So it's how are you going to instantly feel better? When we're trying to figure out your good ratio between things. And you said, yeah, it takes, yes, I'm great now. Mm-hmm. But it took years and years. I mean, this was going back to my 20s to fix things. But yeah, people see where we're at now and it's great. You can be there, but it's not easy. I still am very dedicated, work out every morning. Right. I am very you'll know, everyone knows that. I own my weirdness. I'm totally fine with that. But I'm so anal about ingredients. Mm-hmm. What you put in is what you're going to get out. Right. Okay. Well, when you're telling me you're driving through all these drive-throughs or you're drinking sodas and what do you think is going to happen? Even if we optimize you, you're still putting in that garbage. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get the best out. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Right. Yes, I prep all my food, there's standards that we hit. I'm not bringing in all that garbage into my house. I'm cooking every meal. Yes. Do I want to go home and cook every freaking night? No, not always. Right. But I also don't want to feel like crap if I eat that stuff. Right. So it's it's not easy and everyone wants to have an excuse and I could have a million excuses. It's not I'm that influencer that doesn't work. I'm at home all day long and I can meal prep and I can go and buy all this stuff. It's I work Monday through Friday. Right. I have a toddler. Yep. I make it happen.
Yeah. If you prioritize those things, and a lot of it is what are you doing throughout your daily life? Dakota and I had this conversation yesterday. If it is important to you, then you have to prioritize it because it's not easy, and you can make all the excuses up in the world about, I'm going to change my lifestyle. Okay. Well, going to that 30-minute class at 5:00 in the morning is great. Good yes. for you. Okay. Leaving there and going to fast food place for your caramel maca latte, whatever thing. So you burned 250 calories or 300 calories doing this class and you're drinking 400.
Yeah.
So you're starting the day before you even get to work or before you even do it in a calorie surplus of 150. Mm-hmm. And so now you're just tacking those things on. I wish people could understand that part of it, because it's not, you think I went to a class, I can have this. Rewarding yourself for those things. And food should not be a reward. Should you enjoy food every once in a while? Of course. Yeah. Yes. Should you have a healthy relationship? Absolutely. But you can't do it all the time. You can't do it every meal, I finished this task, so I'm going to go to here for lunch. And, oh, I got off work, so I'm going to go do this. And, you know, oh, we're leaving the baseball field. Let's go grab something to eat, you know. And by the time you do that, I mean, and this is no joke, you're at 5,000 calories.
Yeah.
And people do not realize that. There's no way you burn 5,000 calories in a day. There's no way.
Most of us have a desk job.
Yeah. Or unless you're, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I couldn't tell you, you know, how many activities you would have to do to burn that off, you know?
Yeah.
It is. And I don't want people to take that as like a obsession about things, because you can get in big bad places with that too. We've had those people.
Yeah.
But you know, you have to be able to recognize, be conscious of what you're putting into your body, you know, in whether it be calories, whether it be macros, whether it be ingredients, whether it be what you're drinking, you know, all of those things factor into making you. Mm-hmm. And we've turned down, you and I both have turned down people before where they come in and maybe their labs look relatively decent and maybe they're not optimized per se, but they're drinking 6 or 7 beers a night. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're not exercising. I'm like, hey man, you know, why don't we just pump the brakes on, like, you're coming here for a quick fix. You're blaming the way that you feel on some hormone issue, which you very well may have. Mm-hmm. But first, why don't we try these things? Why don't you
make some
changes first, and then come back and see us in like 6 to 12 weeks, and we'll recheck everything. And if you're still not doing it and you're still feeling it, and we can kind of talk, and you've done all the things, well then we can talk, you know. But it's almost and at the end of the day, we're a business, right? You know, so it's like that's how we keep the doors open. But I would rather turn somebody down that's not going to do the right things, and rather than them say, oh, well, this isn't working, and then just completely give up on it, you know, and not have educated them on the things that they should be doing.
Yeah, I think you need a good foundation. I think everyone does. And there's definitely, I mean, I do a lot of that at the same time. I'm like, this is what we need to be doing.
Right, yeah.
Like, yes, your hormones suck right now. Like, let's just put it that way.
Right.
Yes, you feel like crap.
Right.
I have no doubts, but you have to do the other stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a like pick one or the other.
Right.
You're doing both of them. And if that's, you know, we're the accountability for a lot of people, which is totally fine.
Right.
Like, I will cheer you on.
Oh, absolutely.
Galore.
Yeah.
And we have all the resources, you know.
Come in and do it in body. Let's check this Panoe again. You know, let's do all of these things that we can make you, help guide you along the way. And we have some services down the pipeline that we're going to start exploring too, that to really kind of encompass a lot of those ideas. But, you know, although hormone optimization is a really good thing, it's not the only thing.
It's not the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always tell people that, you know, there's a couple of things that you'll notice when you start testosterone, but you're not going to look like Schwarzenegger, you know. You know, you're not going to.
I know I have some people that get worried about that. They're like, am I going to be super huge?
Oh, am I going to get, I don't want to get too muscular. I promise you're not. You know, there's that, you know?
I've been optimizing my testosterone for 2 years now. Right. Do I look bulky? No. I mean, I can put on muscle finally.
Right,
yay, hooray me.
Yeah.
But no, you're not going to get like the bulky. And that's what women get really terrified about. Yeah. It's like, no, it's just going to make you feel stronger again. Like, have your libido, like have your energy, like you have to have it. Yeah.
It's the thing whenever I used to train people, you're like, okay, so what's your goals? You know, and that's a terrible question to ask if you're a trainer. What are your goals? Because what does everybody say?
Lose weight.
I want to lose weight. I want to get lean, but I don't want to get too muscular, or I don't want to get too bulky. I'm like, okay, well, please get that out of your mind right now, because it's just, you know, there's a lot of things that the people that you see that are too bulky have artificially facilitated that in a lot of ways. You know, I mean, let's be honest, you know, it's and we see those people too, right? It's not let's get that out of your head. Yeah. Here's the reason why you need to put on muscle. Here's the reason why you need to do strength training. You know, you're a woman, your bone density is going to eventually stink.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Especially the postmenopausal kind of thing. You know, it's like, that will only help facilitate those things. Here, let's do a in body to see where we're starting out at right now. And then they see the, 150 pounds with 30 pounds of skeletal muscle mass and the 68% body fat, and it's like, it's a harsh reality, but that's what it is. It's so we need to cut this number way down. We need to get this number way up. And they're like, well, if I get, what if I put on 10 pounds of muscle? Will I look like, the American Gladiator girls or something like that? I don't know, but
everything will be just tighter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You just kind of, you watch it, and just end up taking care of it. So, are there any other kind of strange kind of things that people come in and talk to you about, or?
I mean, yes, there are a lot of strange things I get sometimes, but no, I mean, I feel like it's just where women are undertreated. I think it's the sad part about it. I do get like the older women that are dealing with osteoporosis now, and that's huge. Like they went through, like they had a hysterectomy, and they were like, well, I was never, like, it just wasn't on the table, or like I just wasn't talked to about it. And it's like, well, we could definitely do that. Like estrogen's literally protecting every organ in our body. So, I mean, those are like I would say those are like the main ones. Do I get some rare ones that, gosh, I mean, like the other day, like that thyroid patient that was like way under, like having issues there. And then like testosterone, like elevated testosterone on birth control, said that see her back in 6 months.
Yeah.
For repeat labs. Like, it's just sad.
Yeah. So go home and suffer for 6 months like you are right now, and let me know if you get any better.
Yeah. Go home and work out more, eat less, but not like assess anything. Like that's my frustration. Again, that women go through is like, oh, we should eat less and we should work out more and do cardio. I mean, that's where like all of that came from. Yep. And then they feel even worse. Right. They're like, well, I'm too tired to do this. Like I can't get off the couch. Like I'm not sleeping all night. Like, those are, I mean, that I would say those are the biggest one is definitely like the perimenopause. And then younger women are starting to learn like that they have more options now. I think, again, if you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the getting the word out to, it's kind of the purpose of these things is to kind of get the word out for people. And I think we've kind of hit on what most women kind of come in for, but it's really, I mean, anything, if you feel like you're at wit's end, I mean, we can, there's lots of other services.
It may not be hormones, but there's something we can definitely adjust. Like you said, that you just maybe not know. There's so much knowledge out there that I get, like that people listen to like all these influencers and they see all this stuff and they're like, I just don't know what to do anymore.
Right.
I'm like, well, let's just keep it basic.
Right. Yeah.
Like, let's start from basic things that we need to do, and then we'll add to it.
Right.
And I think that that's great. Like that's where peptides are huge in that. Like it's not a hormone thing, but can we do some other options? Like another thing that I do to keep my inflammation down is the BPC 157, which is a huge game changer.
Right.
Like I don't really have the joint pain that I need. I don't have any joint pain, but like the gut benefits that you get from that and decreasing like internal inflammation.
Right. And as a avid podcast listener of all types, the gut inflammation is one of those things that you don't really hear a lot about. You hear a lot of, injecting BPC 157 in your joints or in your knees or in your shoulders or something like that, and mixing it with stem cells and all these other stuff. But they don't talk about the overall inflammatory effect of taking it orally, which is what we offer. We have this, oral, and it's beautiful the way that you take it. You just take one a day. If something comes up, then you take 2 a day, and when that goes away, now you go back down to 1 a day. There's not this titering. There's not this 4 or 5 day waiting period for it to start. I mean, it's really it's a great thing. But the other options that are out there besides just hormones. That's what our science says, and you and I both have talked about like that. There's so many other things that we do. Yeah. Why would we want to kind of pigeonhole ourselves into just hormones, But the peptide consults they're some of my favorites, just because it's, how can you do this? How can you do that? And it's stuff that's out there. we only kind of mess with the FDA approved ones for things, but there's plenty of education out there that to talk about as far as options for helping lots of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just like though, women can do, like, I think it's like, let's the guys all do these things.
Right.
I do think that is
Right.
like, I am getting more women that ask about it, but those consults are a lot just like by men patients asking about that. And I'm like, females, you can do it too.
You can do it too,
It's
right,
again, it's not going to make you bulky and huge
No, there's so many other things you have to do in order to do that, and those aren't things that we advocate for, and I'm not saying that is the only pathway to do it. I realize that there's people that can manage that, make that happen, but for the most part,
it's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
The ones that you're seeing that are saying that they're not, read the Liver King story for that matter, people that are saying that they're out there natty and they look crazy and they're not, it's just, it has not been our experience where that comes into play.
Yeah.
Males and females, or that, that'll come into the office and say, hey, I've got this really screwed up, endocrine system, or my my testosterone is way screwed up. Well, what have you been doing? Tell me your history. It's all SARMs and it's all this and it's all that, and they've taken a kind of uneducated approach to it. And well, we got some work to do, we got to get these things straightened out. So especially if you want to go into it, going into your 40s and 50s and feel good,
Healthy.
Yeah.
Have longevity on your side.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think, getting everything else out there and like all the other things that we have is a great resource. We utilize them all. And I think and not everyone has to, it's just, we have those things and we want to be like, if we're telling you to do it, we're going to try it for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I tell everybody that, and if I didn't have an experience with it or positive, or if I didn't have a positive, or I had even a neutral experience with it, I'm not going to advocate for it. It's just not, you can certainly try it. It did nothing for me, and I feel a lot of that, like a lot of the nootropic kind of stuff, that's, everybody comes in because it's all over Rogan. It's all over this, take this for brain fog and something like that. Maybe I just don't have it. Maybe I don't have brain fog, I don't know. So maybe that's why I don't feel that. But I never experience anything with those things,
Yeah.
So when people ask about it, I'm like, oh, you can try it, but me personally, I didn't feel anything about it, the other stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, this is really good stuff. This really does what it says it's going to do, because I had X, Y, and Z problem. Here we are. So.
Yeah. It's really helpful. I mean, and that's another thing, like in consults, I'm like, well, that's what we do. Like and I think that makes a difference, maybe, that people can relate, to us a little bit more. 'Cause like we can tell our stories with what we went through with it. Yeah. But a lot of people just don't know our stories because we're focusing on you during that consult, not on us. Yeah. We want it to be all about you. But it takes a long time. It's a journey.
Yep.
Having the resources that we have has really been huge. Game changer. Yep. So even just like simply starting with like the lab work and just having that first talk, that's like number one. And then all the other things that we can do for people, nutrition wise, workout wise, like we can tell you what your body needs to be doing workout wise. I'm not a personal trainer, but we have that, like where we have that testing where we can tell you like what your body needs, which is a huge thing to have. Yeah. We need to be better about telling people about it.
Right. Yeah. But again, it's one of those things where people come in hyper focused on hormones. I'm like, well, just, okay, here's what your levels are. The 6 to 7 beers guy thing was a patient I had last week, so it was testosterone was okay. It could have been better. I mean, everything can be, we could have optimized it or whatever. But what he's complaining of is, well, I don't really have a problem with my sex drive. I sleep pretty good. Maybe I'm a little irritable, but he worked at, a very well-known place, very busy place here in town. And he goes, I was like, well, tell me about your diet or whatever. He's like, well, I like my beer. I was like, well, what does that mean? You know, I mean, you like to relax on the weekends? And I drink about 6 or 7 a night. I was like, well, I was like, you know, is that why you sleep good? You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, is that why you think you're sleeping good? Because you're probably not if we had like a sleep score on you or something. But, you know, I was like, okay, well, let's address that first, you know, because there's other things out there that probably are making you feel the way that you are, you know, well, besides hormones. And again, change that. Come back in 6 to 12 weeks and then let me know how you're doing then, you know, and then if it's still an issue, then we can address some of these things. But again, he's going to go home and he's going to continue to have those 6 or 7 beers a night while I'm giving him this. Yeah. You know, so the chance of him feeling better or having this drastic change in his lifestyle just because now he's got more testosterone in his system than his body is making or whatever, you know, are kind of slim to none, you know? Yeah. So the addressing all of those issues is one of the main things we do, I think, and from both sides. Anything else you can think of?
I think so. I mean, we have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. We'll have plenty of these. Yeah. We'll have plenty of these.
I think going into depth on like, you know, we can go into like females and all the lovely treatments that they have option wise. Yeah. I don't think that would be bad, but no, I mean, it's pretty much
Jessica, huh?
Yeah. That's what I do. Talk to people all day long.
It's a rare thing to get Jessica on a weekend. So this is a very, very special occasion. Everybody should praise her for this. Yeah.
I'm busy, during the week and I love my family time. So
I used to get offended whenever you wouldn't answer the phone on the weekend, but that's okay. Listen, I totally get it now.
I zone out on all family.
I get it. And that's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing.
Meanwhile, me and Derek spend an entire Saturday together. See, like,
we were wrapping up yesterday, and I was like, "Anything else you want to go do, man?" Like,
yeah, but
my kids are gone,
and like they do their own thing.
Yeah, we were done. We were like, "Okay, is there anything else we could do today?"
You don't go walk around Best Buy or something?
Yeah.
No, I have the sweetest little 3-year-old.
He's the best.
That wants to be around mommy all the time. Yeah. So that's why I'm away all week. And that is like all my focus on.
Yeah. Don't forget your friend Ian. That is I will never, ever, ever forget that. That is probably the sweetest thing I've ever heard come out of a kid's mouth, to be honest with you. Yeah. Her and I, he was with us one day when we were walking across the parking lot to the recovery center. Yeah. You know, and he's kind of dragging behind a little bit, and he goes, "Don't forget your friend Ian." I was like, "Oh my God, what the sweetest thing ever!"
He loves going to the office. If I would let him go to the office all the time, he would. He loves the plunge.
Oh yeah,
he wants to try to get in the plunge.
Dakota did the plunge for the first time yesterday.
Oh
my gosh!
I know. I brought a change of shorts. I was like, I think I want to try the cold plunge. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I went the full 3 minutes.
He did. He went the full 3 minutes.
No, it
Your
was
first time. Heck
It was what an experience. Yeah. I really want to do it again.
He did it really
it's bad. Like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. No, really. Like after the halfway point, the minute and a half was a big struggle. Yeah. Like at the bottom of my feet, like my toes were just like, for some reason, the only part that were like in agony, like you couldn't curling them didn't help. Yeah. Putting them against a cold tub did not help because it's probably colder than the water at that point. But it was really, I highly recommend anyone that has not done a cold plunge to do a cold plunge. Experience it for yourself.
And you felt good all day long.
I felt amazing the rest of the day. Yeah, and amazing. You remember how that feeling feels throughout the entire day, and you can go back to that feeling. At least I could all day and just like remember how good I felt right after I got out. It was a big help all day.
He did the 3 minutes after doing the rookie mistake where, you know, he was like, "So I just need to sit down." I was like, "Dude, just get in, sit down." Yeah. You know, put your hands on both sides. So you're not even like giving yourself the ability to stand up. So he gets in, stands right up. He's like, "Man, this is really cold." I was like, "Yeah, just sit down, dude. Just sit down."
Yeah. I just went for it.
And then he made it. Yeah. It was a good job. It was a good job.
Yeah, I love the plunge.
Yeah.
And the sauna. I mean, it's getting warm. And it is I would say those are the best things. Like, the options that we have.
Yeah, and we've tried all the other kind of fancier stuff sometimes, but nothing beats the plunge in the sauna.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's so convenient to just have somewhere you can go and know that it's there. It's just, it's so great.
Yeah.
It's great. That's not like, the Y, having to get like a Y membership or something.
Right,
That's like the only place on the top of my head that I know there's a sauna.
Yeah. But again, some simple things, right? Added into what we're trying to do, come in and do that every morning. Just start your day and come in and do this. Yeah. And then, and I promise there's a lot of, kind of things out there now where they're saying, it's probably not as big as it was. But I mean, subjectively, you can't change the subjective feeling of it,
Yeah.
Yeah. If you take all the data points and do all the research on it and whatever, blah, 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 that they're saying that it doesn't do scientifically now, fine. But I feel great.
I was going to say, I would say with working out and doing the combination that I feel good.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, like I don't need a down day because I'm like super sore, super tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would, even if the data comes out that it's not worth it, I'm still going to continue.
Yeah. And if you could, right. Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I'm like, but okay, well, fine. That good.
I would say the people that do it continuously would
tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
People that miss their days doing it, they're like, oh, I can tell that I haven't.
Oh yeah.
I posted that video on Facebook. Yeah. That he took a video of me doing it on Facebook. Yeah. And I had one of my fiance's family members is a nurse, and even like nurses, a lot of people don't know
they don't have any
what
idea.
the effects of these things are. And she was like, oh, I could never do that. What does that do? And I just, did a quick Google and there's like a multitude of benefits, like inflammation and a bunch of stuff. Like I completely, every single point I was like, looking back in that moment, I felt every single one of these benefits in like a rapid time, 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
3 minutes.
3 minutes of
for
your time.
An entire day of, feeling of benefits.
Yeah. I tell everybody, I say, so just imagine if your body thought it was dying for 3 minutes and then all of a sudden it's not, how good you're going to feel. There you go. That sums it up.
I mean, it sucks every time getting in it, but after, there's no other feeling. You're like, oh, hell yeah.
Well, it's not easy. Do hard stuff and you'll feel much better.
Right.
That's what it is. Yeah. That's a good place to end.
Yes, it is. And
goodbye. Well, thanks, Jessica, for doing this on your weekend. I mean, you're just. I feel so incredibly privileged to be in your presence on a Sunday morning. So, come see us at Optimize U Evansville. All the contact info will be in the show notes, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.